Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about how to write equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. If you are not familiar with writing just general equations of lines, like I talked you through in the other video called Writing Equations of Lines, you may want to pause this video, go watch the other one, and come back to this, because the techniques I showed in that one are going to be the same ones that roll over into this video. Alright, to get going, I wanted to give you a few examples of what we're aiming to look for as far as slopes go. And when we do these problems, you're not going to see that I put too much emphasis on the y-intercepts, because those aren't really what we consider when we're looking for parallel perpendicular. We care about what the slopes are. So yes, you want to be accurate when you write the equations, but the slopes are going to be what hinges whether or not you're writing the right equation or not. So, if you want to write a parallel equation to another line, you need to have the same slope, and I've circled the slopes in this example, 2 and 2. Same exact number, same slope, means we're parallel. The second example, those are perpendicular because you have the opposite reciprocal slopes, and what it means to be opposite reciprocal is the opposite sign of one another and the reciprocal fraction. So, in this case, the fraction of the top equation was basically 2 over 1. You can put anything over 1. And when we find the reciprocal, we just flip it. So the bottom one is 1 over 2. So opposite reciprocal makes it perpendicular. And the third example is what people usually get tripped up on, and it's really easy to get tripped up if you're not careful, because you're going to see this positive and negative 2, and you're going to be like, oh, it's perpendicular, and it's really not. All right, remember, perpendicular, there's more than one requirement. You don't have to just have the opposite signs. You have to have opposite signs and the reciprocal of the fraction. So if we really wanted these to be perpendicular, we would, on top of one of them being negative, which it already is, we would have to flip one of them for a 1/2 instead of 2, and that's not there. So these are neither. All right, so let's walk through the process of putting these in an equation form. So just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, they're giving you some random line graph. It says write the equation of a line parallel to blah. Well, there's our line. Going through another point, they'll give you a random point, and they're wanting you to go find the equation of the line that passes through that point that is parallel to this other, to this other line that they gave you. All right, so to begin with, we're going to aim to write, again, y equals mx plus b. That's our goal. And if we want to talk about reading problems and questions right, you have to know what's key here, and the key word here is parallel. That should be triggering some stuff for you. Parallel should be triggering same slope in your head, and same slope here for us. If the slope is 1 up here in the original, we want the same slope for this new equation, which is going to be 1. So we know what we're plugging in for the slope. It's going to be y equals 1 x plus b. And just like in the other video, this point is going to come in handy. They're giving you an x and a y to plug in. So now I know that y is 7 because this point lies on this line we're writing the equation for. So that means if we plug it in, it should be giving us a true statement. So y is 7. We still have 1 for our slope. And we know what x is now. X is 1. And then you're just going to go solve for b like we did before. So 7 equals 1 plus b minus 1. 6 equals b. Plug that b back up in the equation we started. Y equals 1x plus 6. So this line we just wrote is now parallel to the original line they gave us. And you can see that by the slopes. All right, they have different y-intercepts, which is good. That means it's not the same line. And they have the same slope, which means we're never going to touch. All right, this one, you start reading, you say write an equation of a line that is perpendicular. That should be jumping out at you. All right, perpendicular this time should be saying opposite reciprocal slopes. And what that's going to mean for us this time, if we want to write our new slope, we want the opposite reciprocal of 2. Well, the opposite of positive is negative, and the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. So that's going to be our new slope for this new equation. So y equals mx plus b is still what I want. I know what my slope is now. It's a negative 1/2. And again, they gave me an x and a y to plug in, so I'm going to go do so. So 0 equals negative 1/2. Open up a hole for x, because I know what x is now. It's 4. And start simplifying. And don't let this fraction trip you up. Just because it's a fraction doesn't mean you can't do it. All right, so half of 4. Remember, in multiplication in words is of. So half of 4 is 2, and it's going to be a negative 2 since the half was negative. And then just go solve. Notice the fraction went away. By George, it's easy. So b equals 2. So y equals negative 1/2 plus, 1/2 x, sorry, plus 2 is the equation of the line that is now perpendicular to the original. And you can again see it, they have a different y-intercept, not that we care about it too much right now when we're writing equations, but they have opposite reciprocal slopes, which is what we set up. If you don't set the slope up right in this step, then you're going to get the equation wrong. Alright, you start reading this one, you're like, blah, 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 parallel. There it is. So we're going to go write some stuff down. Parallel means same slope. And for us, that's going to mean a 3/4 because that's what the slope up here is in the line they gave us. So we want y equals mx plus b again. We now know what we want for our m. We want a 3/4. And again, don't let fractions make you crazy. They're okay. They gave me an x and a y again. That's on that line that I can plug in. So I'm going to plug them in. So 2 equals 3/4. Open up a spot for x plus b. We know what x is. It's 8. And start simplifying. So we want 3/4 of 8. Well, one way to do this is to cross simplify. And what I mean by that is imagine this over 1. Instead of simplifying top to bottom like 3/4, I can cross simplify, which means I can simplify the 8/4. So we know what 8 divided by 4 is. It's 2. So 4 goes into itself once, goes into 8 twice. So that's called cross simplifying, and we can only do that if we're multiplying. So it's really 3 times 2, which is 6. And notice again, fraction goes away. Happy day. So b equals -4. We're going to pull that back up here. So y equals 3/4 x minus 4. Make sure you're bringing that negative along with you because it's attached. So there's the equation of the line that is now parallel to the original equation they gave me. Alright, one more example. Blah, 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 blah. Perpendicular. So perpendicular is opposite reciprocal slope. So we need to check out what our original slope is. Our original is 1/3, so I want the opposite, which is negative, and I want the reciprocal, which is 3/1, or just 3. So I know what I want to plug in for my slope now. I want y equals mx plus b, of course. Now I want y equals -3 x plus b. They gave me a point again. Notice it's the same steps over and over. Patterning. -2 equals -3 times x plus b. X is 4. So -2 equals -12 plus b. Add your 12. B equals 10. Pull him back up. Y equals -3x plus 10. So now you've got the equation of the line that is perpendicular to that one, and we can tell it by the opposite reciprocal slopes and the different y-intercepts. Alright, here's your practice problems. If you are ready to go for them, pause the video. If not, go back and rewatch the examples again, try to rework them. But pause the video if you're ready, come back in a few minutes and check your answers. Alright, here's the answer to number 1. Notice the same exact steps every time I work it. That is because I'm training my brain to remember a pattern in math. Alright, so there's your answer. If you need to pause on any of these answers so you can check and write them down, go for it. Here's the answer to number 2. Perpendicular, opposite reciprocal slope. Here's number 3. We wanted parallel, so same slope. And number 4, perpendicular, so we want opposite reciprocal. Alright, until next time, keep practicing.